if I recall correctly, what I did was I replaced I took a spring I had and I put it into the mainspring barrel here, and then I folded the edge over because the spring has an edge that looks like that. Let me see if I can see that. The barrel has a hook in it, and it hooks into the edge of this thing here. So I remember I took a spring and I did it, but it's slipping, so that's when I ordered the other spring. So now, first thing I should do is relieve the tension on the barrel. I think it's already relieved, and I don't really care if I break the barrel, but what you do is you just turn this and then you move. I should show you the other. I should basically move this around like that, right? So you just turn this with your key, and I can put my flip over loop in here. And then you use a screwdriver or toothpick. Toothpick's probably better because it's not going to scratch your movement. And you just slowly release the tension on the spring, and it shouldn't be, this one shouldn't have a lot on it because it kept slipping. So every time it slipped, the tension slipped. So that's it. So the tension is completely gone from the spring, which is good. And if I recall, this particular movement, which is super old, this little screw here, you have to kind of jimmy it up. It kind of comes up. So what I do is get a very small screwdriver blade, like a yellow one, and I'm going to zoom in there, see if I can zoom in here. Not sure if this has zoom power. Doesn't look like it. I have to change. I just get closer with my camera, I guess. That's a crazy way of doing it, right? Look at that. Holy crap. Now the problem here is, of course, that I'll be talking too loud, so I gotta talk like a PGA golfer. And I've got to be able to get my screwdriver in here to just edge this up. I've also found that if you do it upside down, it can just fall out because you use Mr. Gravity, so who's in this case is your friend, and you just work it out back and forth until it loosens, which it's doing right now. And then when it comes out, I'm waiting for this thing to fall out on me here. And of course, doing everything on camera is just super awkward because you're trying to help people with basic watch repair stuff while you're videotaping, which is, I think Mark said it best, extremely difficult. I'm working the part out right now. So if you see it sideways there, see it's coming up. This is not very exciting. I should just turn the camera off until I have it out, or just clip it when I do the video, which means I leave enough pauses in there to be able to do that. Like I'm a guitar player, and I have long fingernails on one hand, because I should be able to just take it and do that. So it's out, and there's no need to remember the direction of the wheel because you've got the ratchet here, or whatever you'll call that, the spring here, and that'll help you with it. So, and you notice I have a lot of parts removed from this plate here because I wanted to make sure this watch worked before I completely reassembled it. So I'm going to disassemble the main plate here. And these are always fun to do. Another thing is I completely cleaned this watch already, so I found out that I think the spring actually broke after I reassembled it. Sound in the background that sounds like a Wookiee. That is not a Wookiee. That is a friend of mine texting me to tell me that he wants to go golfing tomorrow. So I need to get back to him with a big fat yes, because it's going to be nice and cool tomorrow. And where I live, it has been a bit of a heat wave. It's been 37 degrees out Celsius and feels like 44, 45. So very, very hot. So I've got a bunch of people mooing me right now. So that's out now, so I should just be able to work the plate up like that. And putting the plate back on is a bit of a pain in the butt because the wheels all have to line up. So, which is, I hate doing that, but they didn't design these things for maintenance. I don't think they did anyway. I'm going to move this plate over. And there is the barrel. And just move the barrel out of position. And I'm just going to move this movement off to the side so I don't have to deal with it. So there. So now I have the barrel. There's the barrel, my friend the barrel, and the spring. So this barrel, the cover pops off right here, and the way you pop the cover off on the barrel is by putting a very small screwdriver in to the hole, and then you just rotate it back and forth until it's in good, and then you push up on the just push up like that, and then the barrel, or it just popped out. So, and there we go. So there's the spring that I believe I put in there, if I recall. Yeah, I think I bent this one over. I'm going to take it out and have a look anyway. And this was an existing spring that I had. I wish it wouldn't have slipped, but it did. Maybe I'll show you what I did as well. So what I do is I just take the arbor out. Remember that the business side is on the bottom. So hopefully this, I'm talking low enough that it's not going to be a problem. And it goes from the inside, it's going clockwise. So to work the spring out, typically you take your screwdriver and work it in like that. And then once you get it once around, like this, I gotta make sure it focuses here. Is that gonna focus? Yeah. You walk it out. The fingernail here is awful long too. I gotta trim that. But I tell you, it's really good for opening up pocket watch cases when you forget your screwdriver. So it looks pretty disgusting. So I don't want to look disgusting, so I need to fix that. So there's the spring, and there's the edge there. I think I just slid this in, because if I look at the barrel on the inside, there is, it's kind of a hook there, but this, I believe this little tiny hook here, right there, that was made to stop a fold over. So the fold over looked like that. So when it hit this, it stops. So it wasn't made to catch the end of this. So I'll be able to see if I can show you that. Where the heck is the camera? There it is. So there's the hole, a little bit too close. So it wasn't made to catch the end of this here, where the hole is. So now I've got basically a barrel and a new spring. Now, sometimes I just walk the spring into the barrel because it's a lot easier than punching it in, especially if it's big enough. And if you recall, this one is going clockwise because the arbor is going to catch it on that side as well. So the arbor, if I look at this, the arbor goes in like so, and it catches the hook right here. Now I'm looking at this and I don't believe it's tight enough. There's where it would catch it right there. So I don't think that's, I think I need to round that down a bit. So what you do, I'm just going to pause this while I go grab the tool. What you need to do this is a tool like this. This is a vintage one. And it's actually Waltham watch company. So somebody's had used this, and it's got 3 different sizes. So small, medium, and large. And then this is for rounding, or you basically, it cups the spring like that. And then when you squeeze down on it, it actually moves the spring inward a bit, so you can do it that way. I also have another one that I bought, which I can't remember the brand name, but I bought it online, and it looks like this here, and it's a bit more serious in nature. So if I basically cup the spring again with this, this will hug the arbor more. So if I take that arbor, wherever that arbor is, there it is there, and I just put the arbor into the hole, you'll see that the arbor is now smaller, which should be tighter. So that looks like it's going to be a good fit right there. So you can see that. There we go. So that looks like a good fit. So all I did was squeeze the inside of the spring using this tool here. And you can get these online. So and I could have used my vintage one, which is what I used to use too. It doesn't make a difference. So, but you want the spring to be a bit tight around the arbor, so it grabs the little hook on the arbor without a problem. So now, I also brought out some vintage tools I have for measuring the spring sizes. So probably don't need to do that, but I could show you after. Anyway, so that's that there. Now this spring I could pop the spring right into the barrel, but it seems to be a little bit big for the barrel, so that ain't popping in. So what I need to do is unwind the spring. So I might wind it in by hand though, because I can show you how that's done. It's a little trickier, but if you remember, it goes clockwise like this. So at the end, it's going to start here. So when I start, it's going to go like that. So when I start winding in, I got to wind it in the other way. So before I do that, what I'm going to do is put a drop of oil on the inside of the barrel. There's some schools say no, some schools say yes. I typically put a little tiny drop of oil in the barrel, and just make sure that when you grab the oil, you do it properly. There's various viscosities of oil, but I can't remember I'd have to bring all the oils out again and tell you, but these ones have a little bit of dirt on them. But when you're getting oil onto your stick here, if you go into the stick like that and you pull out fast like this, you're going to get a lot of oil deposited on the bottom of that. So it just probably won't focus for me again, but there you can see it. Oh, it almost focused. It's the camera stuff, man. Camera stuff. Okay, anyway, there's a lot of oil on the end of that barrel. Or sorry, there's a lot of oil on the end of the stick. And if you pull the stick out slowly, you get very little oil on the stick. So when you're oiling it with the what is this, 9210 or something, but the thinner oil, I'll say, then you're doing perhaps the jewels for the escapement, then it's better to actually pull this out slower and make sure you get the right amount of oil, because too much oil is not good. But in this case, I'm going to get a bit more oil, and I'm going to just put 4 lines in the bottom of this, like that. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And what that'll do is the spring will carry that around, And so if there's any friction down here that I don't want, then that's going to help with that. So just put that on the bottom of the barrel. Now I'm going to very carefully undo this, which is, make sure you have eye protection on. So same as before, though, you take it like this and then you walk it out, and you walk it out of the holder. So I'm walking it out with your thumbs, like thumb on one side and thumb on the other side, and you're holding it in as you're walking it out. So I'm going to back off for 2 seconds because this is tough work. All right, so there's the spring out, and there's the end. There's the ring. Now what I have to do is I have to put this in the barrel and then find out where that edge is and then curl it in. So I'm going to do this by hand, so I'm going to move the camera back a bit, and hopefully you can catch all the action. This could be interesting. I've done this quite a few times, so it shouldn't be that ugly looking, but it's probably better to use a spring winder. But I want to make sure that this little fold over edge here is lined up with the inside of the barrel where that edge is there, so I don't have the problem of it not hooking. So you put it in like that, and then I'm going to make sure I get the center of this camera. You put it in like this, and then you bend it a bit like this until it tucks in like that, and you got to get it kind of once around. So you do this, hold it in place, and then you get past the overlap point on the spring, and you make sure it's over the top of that, and then you make sure you get it past the overlap. And if I screw this up, I'm going to allow you to see that as well. So there, that's past the overlap, and then you just keep winding it in. So you push it on one side and you keep it in place on the other. And I measured this spring very carefully to make sure that the barrel and everything else was the right size, and I ordered it from Cousins UK, which are great, by the way. I get all my stuff from there. Plus I'm in Canada, so if I'm ordered from the States, I tend to get duty sometimes going across the border. And now with the tariffs that are being imposed by the US against the Canadian border and Mexico and everywhere else, I probably will even order less stuff from the States, so which ain't going to help my friends in the US on free trade. So, but my wife won't let me buy expensive stuff, so actually I'm just kidding. So if you can see that, I'll show you right now. I'm sort of partway through. Where's the center of this camera? This way and then this way. There we go. And if I just move my hand a bit, it might focus. That's what it looks like partway through. It's kind of a foggy focus. Anyway, let me just keep going here. It's not focusing right. So I'll wind that in. And again, like I said, if you keep safety glasses on or something, because if one of these springs lets go, it can be pretty hazardous. I was talking to a friend that actually fixed clocks, and I asked him what the difference between fixing a clock is and fixing a watch or a pocket watch. And he said I could probably fix clocks without a problem. He said the only real danger is losing a finger. So as you may know from my YouTube videos, I play blues guitar, so the last thing I want to do is lose a finger. So anyway, that didn't make me very happy when I heard that. This last part's the hardest part, because you got to kind of twist it in, and then you cannot let go of that spring at all, because if you do, it's going to come back on you and you'll never get it in. So I'm trying to just curl it in nicely. There we go. So there's the spring. I just hand wound it into the barrel, and the barrel cap should fit no problem. It looks like it's down low, so the spring looks like it's snugged in there. If the spring is not snugged in well enough, you can take a flat punch and just lightly punch the edge of the spring to put it in. Now I'll take the barrel here. It goes in like this, and I'm going to have to look at this very closely. Again, very difficult to do while you're recording. So I just put the barrel in place like that, and I need to align the hook of the barrel with the spring at the same time I'm finding the hole on the other side. So what I do there typically is I get it snugged in on one side, on the non-hook side, and then I take a fine screwdriver, like a yellow, for example. I won't tell you the millimeters because I don't remember them. And I get that yellow screwdriver into the spring somehow. At least I tell you I do. And then, let's see if I can do this here. I need to get this in a little bit better. There we go. I tuck it in like that. Now the other side is kind of over to where the hook is, which is close. And I look at the other side and see where the barrel is. The barrel is not set right, so I need to move that barrel down a bit with my finger. It's got to go down some more. There we go. And the barrel is now in there, but it's not hooked in, so I'm going to have to grab it and just turn it just a tad counterclockwise until it, nope, there we go. Then it found the hook. So there it is there. So it's now in place and it found the hook. So that's in there nicely. And on the other side you can see it's sticking through like that. So while I got everything in place, you want to be able to put the cap on. But before I do that, I'm going to, I love my chair. It sounds like a 1,000-year-old boat. It's like, so army. So I get a bench block out like this, and then I don't want the barrel to come flying out again, so I find a hole like this. Then I get my oil out, and I use the red stuff, which I can't remember the number for it. I could get all the oils out and show you what the numbers are, but this is not why we're doing this. So I do this like that. Now you should plunge this into pithwood as well after, but I'm not going to do that now because I'm making a video. So, and then I've got the barrel cap. The other thing you should do is wear gloves while you're doing this, but this is my watch, so too bad. And now I will put the cap on, right, like so. And so the cap is on like that. And because of the type of spring, I don't need to align anything, so I just put some pressure on it. And the barrel, she closes. And then you can bring your tweezers out just to make sure that the barrel is open. So just grab it on the edge like this and then push down along the edge. And make sure when you're doing this not to damage any of the teeth in the barrel. So that is not a good idea. And then just before I put it into the watch, again, I get my Mr. Oiler out here, and I use the same viscosity of oil for this as well. I don't need the finer oil for this. And I make sure I put a little dab of oil along the arbor, the tip of the arbor that's going to stick out, and that just ensures that it moves freely, like that. And then I think I got to oil the top part too, but I oil that once the plate is on. So what I got to do now is I grab the movement, I put it in the movement holder. Now just to note, my movement holder is not really big enough for this movement, but I couldn't find, I got like a ton of these movement holders. They all kind of look like this, and they're vintage movement holders, but they're really good. Now I don't want to let this thing ground out, so I got to hold it with my tweezers and very carefully put it in place, like so, like this, and it should drop into place. And there we go. So that's in place, so I got some action on that. And then I throw the plate back on. Like I throw the plate back on, like it's going to be that easy, right? So I throw the plate back on, and that should not be that bad a task, except for the fact that all of the friggin' wheels get to line up. So I'm going to end up having to play with the wheels. So typically what I do, again, a little trick here, is when you put the plate on, and it comes, you move the pivots over for each one of the wheels, and it doesn't, they don't want to go through the holes and all, and then the plate comes up and everything. So what I found, what you do is you take one of the screws here and you screw it in the plate furthest away from where the pivots are for the wheels that need to fall into place, and then you loosen it a bit, turn it, tighten and loosen it, and you do that for at least 2 of these, and that way when you're moving the pivots around inside, you're basically rolling, like moving them very carefully, so they fall into place. You're not going to you're not going to bend the pivot, and the plate will be loose enough to fall down once the pivots are all in place. You definitely don't want to tighten anything here, so I just moved it down in place, and then I have I think this is a dental pick right here, and I use the dental pick on the inside, and with some luck these things fall into place and the whole thing drops down. So, and then I'll put the gear back on and then start reassembling the watch. So let me just get the plate in place here, okay? Alright, final product. So this is the pocket watch, and as you can see, it is running. Yay me! Anyway, it's running. It's in good order. It's pretty vintage, so I don't know if I sell it or don't sell it or whatever, but it's a nice piece. Just shut this down. Press the button and shut this, and there it is there. And that's a beautiful little pocket watch.